All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm going to wait for a few people to come in, but before I do, I'll talk a little bit, and then we'll get started as soon as possible. So, what we're talking about today is not paying prices. So, basically, we all know when you go to these different places. Let's say you're traveling abroad, and I'm using Medellin, Colombia, mainly because I've been to Colombia several times, and the first few times that I went, I paid a lot more than the last trip that I went on. So I just want to go over and talk a little bit about some of the things that I learned, some of the tips that I have, so you can save money when you travel. Because it's bad enough tickets, airline tickets, and hotel and all that are very expensive usually. Um, and then once you get there, the different things, taxis and excursions and all that stuff, it really adds up. So my whole mission is to try to travel as many places as I possibly can and get a bargain everywhere I go. That way I can travel more. So let's say if I go to Medellin and it costs me half the price that someone else would pay, then I can use that other money, or half the price that I would normally pay, I guess you could say, and I use that money to go somewhere else. So that's why I use points when I travel. I use travel credit cards, as well as I try to find different deals when I can, and I do my research, and I'm knowledgeable about where I'm traveling. Being knowledgeable about where you're traveling is very important. Knowing how much things cost where you're going to is very important because that will help you save money. All right, if you guys jump into and if you guys are watching this video, please leave me a hello or something just so I know you're there. And also tell me where you're coming from too, because that's always interesting to me. So let me chat here, and then we'll get started. Clifton, how you doing? Um, let's see. Let's pop this out. So we'll talk a little bit about this. And every week, I was going to put out a video yesterday, but I had some things I had to take care of, so I wasn't able to do that. But I will put out a video at least one a week. And I'm going to also start, if you guys are interested, in doing like the different travel credit cards that I use, different travel cards that are out there. And then we can just kind of discuss that. I don't really see live streams. There are a few different people that I follow that are really knowledgeable about credit cards, travel reward credit cards, and I don't really see them doing live stuff. So I'm going to start doing live stuff. Not that I'm an expert, but just so I can put it out there and we can all discuss it. Because I think by us all discussing this type stuff, we can help each other out. And let's say it's the American Express Platinum, the new business Platinum that they now, or not really the new one, but they've updated that card. I don't personally have that card, but we can talk about it because there might be other people that have the card and they might want to put their 2 cents in, or tell you what it's really like to have that card before you go out and get it. So I think that's important, and there are different cards that I have I can share with you guys as well about the actual benefits of having the card and how you can actually use those benefits. So, all right, but that's another video. Today we're going to talk about the not paying tourist prices. So the first thing that I do when I'm looking at going to a different destination, and I'm starting to set myself up right now because it's December, so I'm not going anywhere in December, but in February is probably going to be my next trip. And so I'm going to start doing my research now to find out how much it's going to cost me to travel there, how much it will cost to use points, as well as how much it costs to stay there. How much is food? How much is hotel? How much are taxis? All that good stuff. And so, like I said, I'm going to talk about Medellin, Colombia, mainly because I've had experiences there, several different experiences there. And so I can tell you when I first got there, I was paying a lot more than what I'm paying now. And so the first thing that I do is I do my research. So I usually get on Travelocity, I'm sorry. I usually get on TripAdvisor, and let me show you guys the screen here so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. All right. And then we'll with the chat. Okay. So if you guys have questions, we will we'll get to those questions as soon as we can. And like I'll talk a little bit about stuff, and then we'll get to the questions. Susa, Dominican Republic. Keep the cost down. Yeah, you got to keep the cost down. That gives you more money to enjoy all the aspects of your trip. So let's talk TripAdvisor. The first thing I do, so I jump on TripAdvisor and I try to get as much information as I can. And like I said, I'm talking specifically about Medellin. This can apply to any place where you travel to, but this is my first stop. So this is what I'll do. So I'll go on, I'll look, I'll say, okay, look at the different hotels. Now, when I first started going to Colombia, I wanted to stay in the hotels. I was more comfortable with staying in the hotel. And actually, 8 years ago was the first time I went to Colombia. And that was before I knew about Airbnb. Airbnb might have been out, but I wasn't really familiar with it. So it was one of those deals where I just was more comfortable with staying in a hotel. I didn't really know what was going on there. Didn't know where all the nightlife was and all that stuff. So I figured you stay at a hotel, and usually stuff is kind of centered around that. And that's kind of a tip too. So if you are, let's say you don't have time to do the research, I would stay at probably a more reputable hotel, Hyatt's, Hilton's, Marriott's, because usually you're going to have activities that are going to be around that area because they're popular hotels. So that's kind of a tip too. But if you do know where you're going and you've done some research and you know the different places where you want to, let's say different restaurants you want to go to or different excursions that you want to go on, well, now you can kind of look at Airbnbs, and Airbnbs are much more reasonable than staying at a hotel. I found in pretty much all situations they're more affordable. Not only are they more affordable, but you're staying at an apartment, so you can have 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 different bathrooms. So if you're going with friends, it's the perfect setup. You guys can all split the cost, and you can you can have your own room. And now that's big for me. I want to have my own room. I don't want to stay with everyone else. I mean, I want to have my privacy, and then we can hang out together and do all that stuff together, go to clubs and do all that. But then when we come back, I want to have my own room. So that's just the way that I operate. And even now, I have a buddy that we travel a lot together. And if we're going to do the hotel, I'm going to have my hotel room. He's going to have his hotel room. That's generally the way that we work it. And a lot of different places, I mean, it's pretty affordable to do that. And Medellin happens to be one of them. So, TripAdvisor, the absolute first thing that and I'll look at the different hotels just to see what the pricing is. And then Airbnb is something that I also look at. So we'll take a look at that website. And I just want to talk a little. I'm just showing you guys the different websites that I look at. So Airbnb, I'll look and see how much they're going for as far as the rooms. Not really rooms. I shouldn't say rooms. The apartments. I'm not big on the rooms. Like you'll have on Airbnb where you can stay at a room. I'm not really big on that. I would much prefer having my own apartment. Even if it's just me, I would still prefer to have my own apartment as opposed to just renting out a room. And that's just the way I operate. I take a lot of photography. Like I take a lot of camera equipment with me. And so I'm just more comfortable having my own space and not having to worry about things like that coming up missing and that kind of stuff. So that's just the way that I operate when it comes to that. So TripAdvisor first, and then I look to see the different hotels, and if there are any hotels that I want to stay in, about how much they cost. And then the best part about TripAdvisor is they have reviews, and people are really good at putting detailed reviews about different hotels and stuff like that. So that's really good. And then I'll go to Airbnb, and Airbnb is now it's more of my go-to, whereas before I was a little uncomfortable with it, but I've stayed in a few Airbnbs now, and I'm very comfortable staying there. So those are the first 2 things. Now, you fly to the destination. In this case, we fly to Medellin, right? You're at the airport, and the first thing that you do is you need to get to either your Airbnb or your hotel, right? So even though like in Medellin and in a lot of other places, Uber is not legal there, but you still have people that drive Uber out there because the app still works out there. So it's not regulated in Medellin, so they don't. Um, it's not known out there. Like you're not supposed to flaunt that you're an Uber driver out there. So you still have people that will drive Uber, but at the airport they usually don't. So you just need to be aware of that. Like you'll have the Uber drivers out there. They might hit you up kind of on the sly, like, hey, you need a ride here, you need a ride there, but they're not supposed to be operating at the airport. And the other taxi drivers, if they see them, then they will point them out. But what I normally do is in that situation, just take a taxi. It from the airport in Medellin to where you need to go, like the El Poblado area, Laureles, the larger areas of Medellin. It's going to take probably about 45 minutes, and it's going to cost you probably about $27, and that's pretty standard. So just be aware of that. Now, once you get to your destination, like where your Airbnb, that's when you can use Uber, and that's when I would recommend using Uber. And what I do is you have to think of it this way: if you don't want to pay tourist prices, usually most of the taxis are pretty good in Medellin. That doesn't go for all of a lot of other places. Thailand is another place that I went to, and they just hike those prices up really high on taxis. And you can haggle with them and get them down. And I did a video about that, and I'll post a link in that in the description so you guys can check that out later. But you can haggle with them like in Thailand and some of these other places, but you never know. These taxi drivers that drive without a meter, you don't know. They could be telling you anything, and they are telling you anything because they're trying to make the most money that they can. But with Uber, the good thing about Uber is you pay your money, or you put it on the app, and it's going to tell you how much it is, and that's how much it is. So you're not really going to get you're not going to be paying tourist prices if you're using Uber. So I like to use Uber for a lot of my different when I'm traveling around the city. Now, one thing that I do, and this is more of a comfort thing, so you have to be comfortable with this, but usually it's me and another guy. We're photographers. We want to go and take pictures all over the city and all that. So what I do is I will get an Uber driver, and from, let's say we're taking an Uber to a nightclub or to the mall or wherever we're going. On that trip, on the way up on that trip, first off, I'm trying to find out if they speak English or if they understand and that kind of stuff. I speak very little Spanish, so in the situation, if I'm in Medellin, I'm trying to see if they speak English. And if I have a good rapport with them, we joke around and stuff like that. If we have a good rapport, then I'll hit them up and I'll say, hey, this is what we do. This is what we want to do in the next couple of days. Are you interested in taking us around? And usually, I've never had an Uber driver tell me no. Usually they're going to say yes. And obviously it's not going to be the Uber thing anymore. It's just going to be kind of, we work out a deal together and hey, you take me here, you take me there. And so usually that's how we work it out. And it works flawlessly because you're gonna save a lot of money because they're not going to charge you what you would have to pay for an excursion or some of the other things. So the first thing I do, like I said, TripAdvisor. I get on TripAdvisor. I find out the different hotels and I look at different places to stay. But I also look at excursions. TripAdvisor has excursions on there, so you look at the different excursions and you find out how much they are. I also go on this site here. I go on this site right here, Viator. So I'll go on here. I'll look at some different prices of different excursions. They have all the different excursions out there. So I kind of know how much these excursions cost, right? And usually these excursions are per person. So if it's a location, let's say they're going to take you to this area here, it's going to be $106 per person. Now, the trick is if you get an Uber driver that's willing to take you around, then you're only paying, let's say it costs $106 to get there. Let's just say that. It doesn't, but let's just say it costs $106 to get to this destination. Now the Uber driver is only going to charge me $106. He's not going to charge me $106 per person. So now we're saving money just on that alone. So that's a way that you can save money. Like I can tell you right now that if you go to the El Centro area downtown from El Poblado, which we did, it doesn't cost $100 to get there. But and this is $100 per person, so we're talking $200 for them to take you to this to El Centro, and then once you get there, then you're there for however long they want you to be there. Like let's say you're there for I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, and you're paying that money. Now, if I go with a guide that's taking me, which when we were in Medellin, it was this kind of similar situation. Guy he drove an Uber. We ran into him at the airport, but he couldn't take us because he was at the airport and he was kind of outed. The taxi driver saw him. He gave us his business card. We called him up. He took us all around town. He charges generally is about $100 a day, and that's for both of us. So I'm $50 for me, $50 for my buddy, and we're going everywhere. El Centro, we went to all these different areas, and we didn't pay anywhere close to paying. In this situation, if it was two of us, it would have been $200. So just things like that. I mean, they have to kind of do your research, but know that you can. There are better things out there for you, so you don't have to spend tourist money to get to different areas. And you're still going to have to haggle with an Uber driver if they're going to be taking you different places. But usually they're pretty good, and those prices are for them. It's more money than what you would expect. So it's not, even when you're haggling with them, you might haggle down, but it's still a good price for them. So just you can kind of feel it out. And usually, like I went to Costa Rica, we did the same thing. And you after going around with them for a couple of days, you're more. It's kind of funny, but it's more of a friendship because you get to know them, and it's just better that way. It's not as informal as just getting an excursion and going with a group of people, and then taking another excursion the next day and going with a different group of people, and that. So that's my routine. That's usually what I do. So Uber drivers around the city, if you want to go from point A to point B, usually don't use a taxi unless you really have to, because with Uber exactly you're not getting gypped when you use Uber. And then if you can hit up an Uber driver that you like. And what I do is when I go with Uber, or like when I was in Thailand, they call it Grab. I always get their business card. So they'll all have business cards. They're all working. So they'll all have business cards. Uber's kind of their side job. A lot of them are drivers anyway. So I always get their business card. Even if the rapport is not that good, I still get their business card. Just because you never know when you might want to just call them up. Hey, can you come? Can you take me here? Can you take me there? When I was in Thailand, this Grab driver, and he shouldn't have done this, but we get the Grab, and Grab is just like Uber. So we get the Grab. He comes and picks us up, and we had to go to Krabi, which is like an hour and a half away, and so that was going to be a long drive. I can't remember how much it was going to cost. It wasn't going to cost that much. It was like it might have been $45, something like that. And so he basically told us, hey, I'll take you and you can pay me less. So we were going to pay him less than the $45 that Grab was showing us. And then we were just going to cancel the fare. And so so we ended up doing that. We canceled the fare and then just paid him. And then he gave us his business cards to pick him up because we were going to Crab. We were going to be there for a couple of days and then come back. So he gave us his business cards so he can come back and pick us up and bring us back. However, we ended up taking a bus back. That's a whole nother story. But so these Uber drivers are good. You really need to look into that because that's good. Okay, I'm going to stop right now. We're going to go into the chat and see what's going on here. Let's see. Where did I leave off here? So, Daniel, you went to Cartagena in May. It was awesome. Stayed in Las Americanas hotel. Awesome hotel. Okay, that's cool. Cartagena is nice. I like Cartagena, but I love Medellin. So, Daniel, if you've never been to Medellin, I would highly recommend going there. Like I said, Cartagena, I've gone to Cartagena. I like it. The only thing I don't like about Cartagena is the weather. It gets really, really humid and sticky, and I don't like that feeling of walking out of your hotel room and you just start dripping with sweat. So that's the only thing I don't like about Cartagena. But I love the history there. I love the walled city is just it's an amazing place to go. But that humidity really, really gets to me. Plus, in Medellin, it's more modern. They have more modern buildings, nice mall. Actually, Cartagena, the last time I went to Cartagena, they had a really nice mall at the Hyatt. So they have a Hyatt Regency there now, and they just built it. It's right on the water, and it overlooks the city. It's a nice hotel. I want to stay there, but they have a mall that's attached to it. That mall is really nice as well. So they do a really good job on malls in Colombia. Malls are still a thing in Colombia. Like out here in the U.S., malls they're not a big thing anymore. And that's because I think these online companies are really hurting the malls where now you can pretty much purchase everything that you want online. So it is hurting the mall business, I guess. But yeah, Daniel, you should definitely go to Medellin at least once. If you like Cartagena, you're going to love Medellin. Okay, let's see. I canceled my hotel for Airbnb last week. Yeah, I mean, Airbnbs, and this is Clifton saying this, Airbnbs, they're good. They are definitely a good option. And that's, I mean, I was very weary of staying in an Airbnb just because you're staying at someone's apartment. But usually now the way that these Airbnbs are working, it's people don't usually use them as apartments or using them as hotels now, and they're totally set up for visitors. I've had people say, well, I don't want to sleep on the sheets and all that kind of stuff. If you're really that crazy about it like that, if you're thinking that, I mean, first off, you stay in a hotel, you're staying in, I mean, these are sheets. This is not the first time that they're using these sheets. So if you're really uncomfortable with that, make sure you get an Airbnb that has a washer dryer. First thing you do when you get to that hotel is you throw it in the wash, and you wash it, and then at night, then you'll have clean sheets. So if that's really your hang up, but just they're definitely, I definitely recommend staying there. And then plus you're staying, depending on where you're staying, you can kind of select your locations where, let's say if you want to stay in Medellin, for example, you want to stay in Loretta's area. So you want to stay in an area that's not a tourist area. And if you're not staying in a tourist area, usually the prices are a little lower for when you go to the restaurants, you go to the supermarkets, just being out on the street, you're going to pay less because you're not in a tourist area. Whereas all the hotels are going to be in these tourist areas, so you're going to be paying more money. So that's another way to save money when it comes down to it. If you get these Airbnbs, you do your research, get on TripAdvisor, see where the tourist areas are, and then you can also see where some of the other areas are that are not so touristy, and you can save money that way. So that's something that I do too. But yeah, I would, in most situations, unless I'm traveling alone, uh, even if I'm traveling alone, I still will look for Airbnbs, but if I'm alone, I'm more comfortable staying at a hotel just because there's that extra added security there. So, all right, let's see. What else do we have? Daniel, food was really cheap. And there's plenty of tourist attractions that are free and very affordable. And Daniel's talking about Cartagena. Yeah, the food in Colombia in general is very, very inexpensive. Like you can get a full meal. And when I say a full meal, I mean like a sit down meal. Like if you're in the U.S., you sit down and eat a meal. You can get it for like $6, $7, and that's like a full on meat, beans, rice, arepas. That's what they eat mostly. They don't really use tortillas and stuff like that. But you can get full on meals. You can get steak. When we were in Cartagena, there's a steak place. What's the name of that place? We went there. We probably went there. We stayed there 6 nights, and 3 of those nights we went to this steakhouse. And I'm going to try to pull it up right now. I can't remember the name, but it should come up. All right. Can't spell Cartagena. Okay. Is it D-Rays? No, it's not that one, is it? I can't think of the name of it. I thought I'd just be able to pull it right up and see. There are only steakhouses that I saw in Cartagena, but I'd have to see the outside. I remember what the sign looks like, but I don't see it here. But anyway, yeah, you can get some really good, really good meals for not a lot of money. And if you go into the walled city in Cartagena and walk around there, they have some pretty high end restaurants there that are really good. So, is it this guy right here? Let's see. I need to see the sign out front. If I can see the sign out, I don't know. I can't just look at the food and know. Yeah, there's only one picture. Okay. When I find it, you know what? I will post a link in the description once I find that hotel or that hotel. I'm sorry, that restaurant because the food was exceptional, and I'm not a steak eater, but they had some other they had like this, and I just don't like steak. It's not that I don't eat beef. I do eat beef, but I don't like. I just don't. I've never liked steak. But they have like this hamburger, and it's a hamburger, but it's like a hamburger patty, a fried egg, and it's sitting on like an arepa, and there's no you don't have a bun over the top, and it's served with French fries, and that thing is really good. So, all right, so let me move on to more of the questions here, and let me switch the screen back to full screen. Okay, so let's see. Where did we leave off? Sit in the front seat when using Uber in Colombia. So Susa, Dominican Republic. So yeah, he's talking about sitting in the front seat, and I agree with you. That's how you get that rapport. And I always sit in the front seat anyway. Even if I'm in a taxi, I always sit in the front seat. Just because I want to chat with the guys or whoever's driving. I just want to chat with them, see if they have any info they can give me, because usually they have a lot of different info. It's funny when it's a funny story. We get in a cab, so it's late. We're in Medellin. It's late at night. And one thing too, like I didn't really talk about this. Uber is cheap, I'm sorry, taxis are cheap. Uber is cheaper, but taxis, I mean, you're paying. It's like $3 to go 10, 15 minutes away. So we were going. I can't remember where we were going. We're going to a club or something at night, and it's only $3. So you can get Uber or you can take a cab. At that time, we already hooked up with an Uber driver that was pretty much taking us all over the city. And so it was late at night, and we were like, "Hey, we'll just take a cab." So we see a cab that just pulls up. We jump in, and I'm sitting in the front seat. My buddy's sitting in the back, and the guy speaks perfect English and New York accent, all that good stuff. And I'm thinking, what the heck? So I'm talking with the guy. He's like, yeah, I live out here. He's American. Moved out to Medellin. I think he said it was like 10 years ago. He moved out to Medellin. He used to be in the restaurant industry in New York, and he decided to move. And he just moved out here. Now he's driving taxis, and he's retired. And found him a nice lady in Colombia, married her, has a few kids. He was in his 50s, and he just said he loves it every day. He goes out and drives a taxi just for some extra income, but like he said, he's set, he's happy, he's content, and so yeah, it's always good to sit in that front seat because you can really gauge that person and see if they're someone that's that you might want to use in the future to have them drive you around and all that stuff. Okay, let's see. Taxi's best. Let's see. Taxi is the best form of transportation. Taxi is the best form of transportation if you need to get along. Okay, yeah, that's true. Daniel's just talking about taxi is a good form of transportation if you want to, especially if you need to go long distances. I would agree, um, but Uber's good. Uber's really good, man. Long distance, I use Uber for long distance, and it still works out. Obviously, the best form of transportation is probably a bus. I'm not really that comfortable with buses because, especially if you don't know where you're going, you're in a city, you're kind of relying on these buses to uh, get you to where you're going. And just, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't ride buses in the U.S. I don't even know how to ride a bus in the U.S. To be honest, like I'll get out and I could figure it out, I'm sure, but I've never done it. So the metro system in Medellin, Colombia, is excellent. So that's another form of transportation if you want to go somewhere that's far away and it's very reasonable and it's easy. It's easier. It's easier. I would say it's easier than driving or going on a bus. But that's another form of transportation as well. And that's another way that you don't have to pay tourist prices because if you're using the metro, using their subway system and all that, you're paying what everybody else pays, and they will walk you through how to get there. They'll walk you to wherever you need to go. They're that helpful in Colombia. So we were lucky, and like I said, we had this Uber guy that he was our guide for the rest of our trip. So he took us everywhere. He said, "Oh, you want to go to?" We went to Comuna Diaz. It's like up in the hills, like it's like Comuna 13. Comuna. It's like it's the poorer neighborhoods in Medellin, and it's where they used to have a lot of crime and all that stuff, and they really revamped the areas. And so he took us up to one of those, and so he took us on the subway, all that, took us all around. So we were lucky in that sense, but they will help you. So if you want to use a subway, you can. It's definitely affordable. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so Nika baby said she or he, I'm not sure, said they used Uber in Egypt, and it was a good thing. So yeah, I'm really big on Uber. I think it's definitely the option when you're traveling if you want to save money. Let's see here. Okay, Daniel agrees about the humidity. Yeah, that humidity in Cartagena is, I guess it's like Florida. I don't live in Florida. I live in California, so the weather here is very nice generally. So when you go to an environment like that, that weather just hits you right. As soon as I got off the airplane, it just hits you right in the face, and it's like, wow, okay. And I never got used to it. I've been to Cartagena twice. And the first time I was there for about 6 days, and the second time I was there for another 6 days. And I never got used to it. So I know they tell you, oh yeah, you get used to it. And it's kind of uncomfortable too when you're in that environment because I generally sweat a lot anyway. And when you're out there, you get all dressed up, you get out of the shower, and you go outside, and then you just start sweating. It's like, you just, there's a picture of me, and this is embarrassing. And we met some girls from Peru when we were. This is my first trip. So my first trip to Colombia. So this was 8 years ago. We met some girls from Peru, and they have these buses, and basically it's a party bus, and it's cool because it's like a old. It looks like a kind of like a school bus, but you have to picture like when you go on a safari and stuff like that, or maybe not a safari, but like you go to the zoo and they have these buses and they don't have like it has a top, but the sides are open, so you just jump in on the sides. So that's the way it is, and you go around in these buses and you're just partying for 5-6 hours, and they have tequila and they just pass it around and everybody's taking a shot and they have live music playing and all that stuff. Like I have a few videos in Colombia that I put out on my channel. So check out my videos on Colombia and you'll see there's one where we're on Aruba. And so we met these girls and we're out there and we're dancing and we're having a good time and all this stuff. And so they were taking pictures And so one of the girls posted a picture of me on her Facebook and tagged me to it. And it was horrible. I was just drenched. It looked like I was just standing out in the rain. And but I wasn't standing out in the rain. It was just humidity, sweat. It was, so I look at that picture. I'm like, oh my God, it's just horrible. I look terrible. But anyway, yeah, the humidity, I can never get used to it. But Cartagena, I guess at the right time, and I don't know exactly when when the weather changes out there, but if it were a little cooler and not that much humidity, it's still a good place to go. But just be aware of that. If you're not used to humidity, it's going to be kind of an eye opener for you. Okay, let's see. Definitely save money using Uber for a lot of cities and countries, man. Yeah, that is true. Um, they are banned, like Clifton's saying, that a lot of cities do ban Uber, and they won't allow them, or they don't. They're not legally, just like in Medellin, it's not legal to use Uber. But see, the thing is, the app works everywhere, right? So you can still use the app, and so that's people are still doing it kind of on the low pro. I even heard, I never saw this, but heard that like Uber drivers, they don't have their little Uber stickers like they have in the U.S. They don't have the little Uber stickers in the window. And so in certain situations, maybe at the airport, probably more, but they'll come to pick you up. So you order the Uber, and they'll come pick you up, and they'll get out and hugging on you and stuff like that to try to throw people off. Like, oh, okay, it's a friend that's picking them up, as opposed to an Uber driver. So just silly stories I've heard like that. I don't know if that's true. I never saw it, but some people were saying that, yeah, that's what they'll do, or they'll come be like all friendly and like shaking your hand like they really know you and all that. All right. Another thing too, when I was in Paris, Uber at the airport, they wouldn't allow you to use Uber. So I couldn't catch Uber at the airport. I took a taxi. And then once I got to, actually, no, I take that back. Did I use Uber? Actually, I did use Uber. Okay. So I was able to use Uber at the airport in Paris, but they couldn't, they had to go to a certain area. They couldn't like go where the taxis were. So you had to order Uber, and then you had to walk a little bit. It wasn't very far, but you had to walk a little bit to pretty much where the parking lot, and then you could take it from there. So that's kind of even in the U.S. they still have certain designated areas if you want to catch an Uber. Like LAX is a perfect example. You have to go to these little stops in order to pick up an Uber. You can't just pick an Uber up all over or anywhere in the airport. All right, let's finish off with some more of these questions, and then we'll get back to some of the other stuff we're doing here. Let's see. What's the best time to go to Medellin? Okay, so Daniel's asking, when is the best time to go to Medellin? Medellin, when we went, it was their winter, and I went. We were out there in May of 2018, so May of this year. And it was their winter. And their winter, it was like 75, 80 degrees the whole time that we were there. It's like they call it the land of eternal spring or something like that, where the weather's always good in Medellin. And you have more rain. Like we had more rain when we were out there. And I just posted a video a couple of weeks ago of our little activity out there in Medellin. And the first 2 nights, actually the first 3 nights, it rained. And the first night, it rained really, like we got out there and it just started pouring. And I'm all unprepared. I'm traveling, right? So I don't have an umbrella. I didn't even bring a jacket. So I'm out in this rain and I'm just like, and my whole thing is I have my camera equipment. I had a few, I didn't have all my camera equipment, but I did have some. So I get all paranoid when it starts raining because I don't want my camera equipment to get damaged. And so we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. And we're halfway between our Airbnb and we were going to the grocery store. And so we we just headed out and tried to get there as fast as possible. Got to the grocery store. Luckily, they had umbrellas there, so we were able to buy an umbrella. And my buddy had an umbrella, actually. I didn't have one. and so I had to buy one there. So I bought this funky yellow umbrella, bright yellow. I wanted people to be able to see me out there, so that's the reason I did that. So the best time to go to answer your question is anytime, and the weather's always good. You will have rain, but the rain doesn't stay around for long. So it did rain the first 3 days, but it didn't rain all day. So you had days like it was usually raining more at nighttime, and it's not consistent. It'll rain for like an hour, 2 hours, and then it'll go away. But as far as the weather, pretty much all year round, it seems to be good from what I'm hearing. And the time we were there, it was good weather. All right, let's see, Clifton. What is the custom for tipping, especially taxis and restaurants in Colombia? I know in Spain, you just give the waiter a few coins. Yeah, this is weird too because tipping, and I tip all the time. So I don't really think about, and I pretty much tip the way that I tip out here. So if I usually tip 20%. It's easier for me to add it up. So I usually just tip 20%. However, in certain places, it's actually an insult to tip, and so you just need to. You kind of have to do your research, I guess. But for me, I just tip. I'm an American, so when I go to different places, even though they might see it as an insult, they'll know, okay, Americans usually they tip. That's just kind of the way that they are. So I do. I'll just tip. So usually for me, it's going to be 20%. The food and stuff is so cheap out there that it doesn't really. For me, 20%. If I'm buying a meal and it's $6, I'm gonna tip. So that's generally the way I work. I honestly don't know. They take it, right? So I'm pretty sure they accept they're fine with it, with tips. But you do have to kind of do a little bit of research because there's certain places. I think maybe Japan is one of them where if you tip, it's like an insult. Like their job is to provide you the best experience, right? You go to a restaurant, their job is to provide you the best experience. If you and then if I'm tipping them on top of it, that's an insult to them because they're supposed to provide you that service. So, okay, let's see. I'm gonna go drop down because I just saw Nikki Baby. Okay, Japan and Korea, they don't like tips. Okay, so we're saying Japan and Korea, and that's I've heard that before. So I just, like I said, at custom, I just do the 20%. I haven't been to Japan or Korea, so I can't speak on that situation. But if I've done the research and I know that they don't accept tips or they don't want tips, or they see that as like an insult, then I'll follow whatever they do. So like if Japan is that way, then if I go to Japan, I'm not going to tip. All right, let's see, Frank. Why Colombia seems go. Okay, so Frank is asking the $1 million question. Let's see. Since you like Colombia so much, maybe you should enjoy Mexico City. Okay, so I'll answer that first question. So he's asking me, or the second question first. He's asking me, or Frank is asking me about why do I go to Colombia so much, and I seem to like it. And then if I like Colombia, maybe I should try going to Mexico. And he's asking me if I've ever been. I've never been to Mexico City. I've been to Mexico, areas in Mexico just on like cruises, which is not really, you go on a cruise ship, you're not really in another country. You go to the little tourist area and spend all your money and then get back on the boat pretty much. But I've never stayed in Mexico. I do want to go to Mexico City at some point. But the reason that I like Colombia, it's just a whole different experience. And I can't really explain it, to be honest with you. Like, it's one of those places you have to go to, and then when you see how warm the people are, and how friendly they are, and how beautiful the women are, and how helpful everyone is, it changes you. You go there once, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But you kind of have to get out there. It's hard for me to explain it, but it feels very familiar to me. It feels like home. When I go there, it feels like home. And they have all the amenities that we have out here in the U.S. as far as, like I said, the malls and the nice hotels and the nice apartments and high-rise apartments and good food, inexpensive living. Um, they have all that stuff there, and so that's why I like it. I mean, I don't know. The first time I went, it was 8 years ago. I fell in love with it, and I've gone 3 or 4 times after that. Actually, 3 times after that. I've had a good time every time that I go, and it's one of those places where, because of the past, a lot of people are still afraid to go there, but it's really changed, from what I've heard. Like I wasn't going out there back when it was really really violent, but now, like, Medellin was really a violent city in the past, but now, I mean, it's a real nice place to be. It's a nice place to go. So I mean, I'm not being paid by Medellin, Colombia, or anything, but I'm just saying, uh, you should try. You should try that place. Just go there. They have different areas. If you like the beach, you can go to Cartagena. If you like, uh, the nice climate, no humidity, nice, active, live city, then go to Medellin. Bogota is the capital. If you want to go to see the government buildings, the presidential palace there, and all that, and you can go to Bogota. Bogota is up there. It's up in elevation. I think it's like 10,000 feet up or something. So the air is very thin. So you have to be aware of that when you get there. Get lightheaded. When I first got there, I'm lightheaded and kind of out of breath when you're walking around. So just be aware of that. But all those cities in Colombia that I've been to, I've really, really enjoyed. And they like Americans too. So that's another thing too. I've been to different places. Like Paris is one where I just didn't get the feeling that they liked Americans. I don't know. They weren't very friendly. I'll just say that. And I understand it's a big city, so it's comparable to like New York, where people are doing their own thing and they're not really out there trying to help you and that. But I found that when you go to like Medellin and just in Colombia, period, they're very interested in Americans, and they want to know about America. They want to know about you, and they're very very friendly, and so that's another thing that I like. So okay, let me get on, 'cause we're gonna be here forever if I don't get through these questions faster. But yeah, Mexico City, I definitely would be interested in going down there. I used to Uber a lot in Paris. That's Clifton, yeah. And I used when I was in Paris, from the airport. I used Uber, and I got the guy's business card. And then the next day, I used Uber again to go to, because I stayed at the Hyatt Regency in Etoile, the Hyatt Regency Etoile, which is a little ways away. It's probably about 15 minutes away from the Louvre and all the downtown Paris area. And so I had to take an Uber. And I didn't know exactly where I was, so I had to take, or where I was staying. But I got a really good deal at that hotel, so that's why I stayed there. But when I took an Uber into the city, and usually what I'll do, and this is a trip that I was by myself. So usually what I'll do if I'm by myself is I'll do a tour, like a photography tour if they have one. So I did a photography tour, and that guy, he took me all around, showed me different places to take pictures, and then he took me to the subway and showed me how to use the subway. And so then I used the subway from that point on. And that was subway. The subway in Paris is great. It'll take you anywhere you want to go in the city, and it's cheap. It was like, I want to say it might have been $14 or $15 for a book, and that book, I used that book the whole time that I was there. I think I needed to get, I might have bought a couple of tickets, just individual tickets, because I ran out of the book, but I was able to go anywhere that I wanted to go in the city. And the subways are really good there. So that's another way to save money. And like I said, when we're talking about tourist prices, if you jump in those taxis that don't have a meter, you're going to pay tourist prices. If you go with Uber, you're not going to pay tourist prices. If you go with the subway, you're not going to pay tourist prices. And usually the subways are color coded, so it's not very hard to find where you want to go. So, I mean, they'll have a big map. They'll have maps that they'll give you. And like when I was in Paris, I got one of the maps. I bought a book, and the guy that took me on the photography tour, he was actually the tour was just me and him. There was no one else in the tour, and so he took me to the subway. He actually took a ride with me because he needed to get back to his back home or whatever wherever he was going. So he took a ride with me, pretty much showed me everything. Okay, look at this, look at that. Here's the big map here. I'll give you a little map, so you'll have the little map. So I had the little map. I took that back to the hotel with me, and I was able to look on that map. And like I said, it's color coded. They'll show you the different routes, and they're different colors, all of them. And so I say, okay, I want to go to this area. I want to see this. I want to see that. Just look on the map, color coded. Jump on that line, going that way, and it'll take you all the way to where you want to go, and you're done. So it's not hard. It's really not hard. I really would highly recommend doing subways if you can, because you can save a lot of money that way. All right. Let's see, Nikki baby, or let's see. I use trains. Okay, I use trains in Paris, or only use trains in Paris. Yeah, I never used a train when I was out there. If my plan, I want to go back to Paris. Actually, let me back up. I want to go to Spain, and I want to go to Italy, and then back to Paris. So that on that trip, I'm going to make it a long trip, maybe 2 weeks, and then I want to use the train to go all those different places because they're relatively close to each other. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So rule. What's it? Rule. It says Bogota is the same climate, 365 days, between 40 and 60. Yeah, I don't, yeah. Bogota, I was only there for about 3 days, and I remember it was pretty cold, and it's just that elevation that really got me, living out there or staying out there. Let's see, Nika baby. Oh, you want to get a high card? Yeah, the World of Hyatt card is the card that's out right now. Actually, I think they still have the old card. You can still get the old card. I wouldn't get the old card. I get the new one, the World of Hyatt card. I have that card now. It's a good card. I like staying at Hyatt properties, and that's just you're going to find what you like. I mean, you stay at the different ones. I've had experience staying at Hilton's. I've stayed at Marriott's. Marriott's are good. I don't really like Hilton. I don't like staying there. I've stayed there a few times, and it's just when I was in Hawaii 2 years ago, stayed at a Hilton, and I just didn't like it. The whole experience wasn't very good, and the food was just outrageously expensive. And I expect it to be pretty expensive, but when you're paying like $27 for breakfast, that's crazy. So that's just my experience. Now I know if you have, if you can move up and get elite status and you can get the free breakfast and all that, so that's good. But I just haven't had a really good experience with Hilton. So I like Hyatt. I know what I'm going to get. I've stayed in Hyatts everywhere. Paris. I haven't stayed in Colombia yet. They don't have very many in Colombia. They have one in Cartagena that they opened like last year. They're opening one in Medellin soon. And they're opening one in Bogota. They haven't already opened one in Bogota. So they don't have Hyatt footprint is not as large as a lot of the other hotels. They did just acquire, and I shouldn't say acquire, but they did partner up with another hotel chain. So they'll have more. You'll have more access to hotels. But yeah, I just like Hyatt. Plus, if you go to Vegas, the MGM Mirage properties, they all work with. You can use those points to stay at those different properties as well, and you get points for staying at those properties because they're linked in with Hyatt. All right, let's do a few more questions, and then we're going to go back, and then we'll come back to the questions in a little bit. Okay. Okay, so Nikia Baby says, The messed up game plan added to the high card. Yeah, they added a high card to 524. That is true. That that does that is bad that they did that. So basically, just so you guys know, the 524 rule is basically you can only have you can't have more than five entry. I'm sorry, you can't have more than five new, not even inquiries. I think it's just new openings. So like if you get a card, let's say you get five cards. If you're trying to get a chase card and it's your number six card, they'll automatically decline you. So you have to be more strategic, and you have you can't have more than five open in 2 years. So if you have more than five open in 2 years, they'll run that record check. They'll see that you have more than five open. You automatically get declined. So that's only with Chase. So if you're trying to get Chase cards, now if you get an American Express, it's different. All the different cards have their different guidelines, but this is kind of the unwritten rule that Chase is. I don't even think they've even admitted it yet, but that's what's going on. If you have five new account openings, so because now the Chase card, that Hyatt card is a Chase card, it's now a card that is in that 524 rule, meaning that if you get that card, it's going to count as one. So you have to really be strategic if you want to use the Chase ecosystem. Now, if you don't want to use Chase, you want to use something else, and then you have more flexibility. But if you do want to use a Chase ecosystem, it's probably good to get your Chase cards first. And that I'm not speaking as an expert on this. I'm just saying the way I did it is I got the Chase cards first. And most of the cards that I have now, I just got the Chase Ink Unlimited card, and that's the first card that I got in 2 years. All those other cards have been more than 2 years. So now I'm fine to re-up and get as many Chase cards as I want up to five again, or up to five again, because of the Chase Ink Business Unlimited card. It's a business card, and so it doesn't count toward the 524. So, all right, let's do a few more questions, and then we'll get going here. And Nakia Baby says she doesn't like Hilton either. I agree. Are you a girl, Nakia Baby? Are you a girl or a boy? Because I'm calling you girl, she instead of he, and I don't know. So let's see. I like SPG. Okay. Yeah, I haven't. I like that they merged with Marriott, but I don't really stay. I stay at Hyatt, so I don't really stay at Marriott that often. I've stayed at Marriott in the past, but yeah, I'll have to. There are a few cards that I'm looking at. One is SPG, and then I want to get into American Express ecosystem. Okay. Okay, so Nakia Baby. So we're going on to more credit card stuff, and I'm going to go back to my stuff, and then I'll answer some of these questions later. But I want to kind of keep it on topic, and then at the end, then we'll do more questions that relate to credit cards. So not paying tourist prices. So we pretty much left off at the Airbnbs, looking at Airbnbs to really get good deals, and then we also we talked a little bit about excursions and how you can go on excursions with Uber. You can even do excursions with taxis, and we did that when I was in Cartagena. Excuse me. When I was in Cartagena, we did the same thing, or we did with a taxi. So basically what we did is and this was my second trip to Colombia. So my second trip to Colombia, we were still spending tourist prices. And even on the excursion that we did, it was a tourist price, but it was cheaper than if we were to do the excursion on per person. And so what we did is we took a taxi. I can't remember where we even went. I think we were going from Boca Grande, that's where we were staying. We stayed at the Holiday Inn Express, and it was brand new at the time. So it was nice. It was actually it's worth it to stay there. It's very reasonable. It was under $100, and they have a rooftop pool, and you can go out on that deck and overlook the city, free breakfast, and it was a good setup. Holiday Inn Express, I usually don't stay at Holiday Inn Expresses, especially out here in the U.S. But in Cartagena, it was nice. It was definitely a nice hotel, and it's one of the nicer hotels out there. Now that they have the Hyatt, that's probably the nicest hotel that they have out because it's brand new. But they have a Hilton out there that's very nice. They have the Holiday Inn and that the Holiday Inn Express is very very nice. So they have some pretty nice hotels out there that you wouldn't think like out here Holiday Inn Express. We're thinking, no, that's not really like top tier. That's more kind of what is it? A step above Motel Six. I don't know. It's just not a high end hotel out here, but in Cartagena, it's pretty nice. So we talked about that. So we talked about the whole thing, and I was talking about the taxis too. So the taxi guy had a book, and when you get, and I always see like we were talking about, like Susan was talking about, sit in the front seat. I sit in the front seat and I actually see that he has a book, and I see that there's a map on the book. And so I asked him what was that, and he shows me what it is, and he's like, oh yeah, I can take you here, I can take you there. And so he had all the different excursions, and he was going to take us on a private tour, all these different excursions. And so they had prices, and the prices, you're pretty much going to get half off because you're only going to pay for the ride. You're not paying per person. And he took us to these different destinations. So he took us up to there is a fort, so he took us up to the fort. We walked around the fort for a while, and then he took us to a few different places, and I can't remember exactly. This was like 5 years ago, and then he brought us back, and we probably went to 4 or 5 different places, and it probably would have been 2 separate excursions if we would have done it through one of the companies that do the excursions. But he was able to take us because it's just us, right? So he take us. When we're ready to leave, we go to the next place. We're ready to leave, we go to the next place. I was able to fly my drone out there, and he just hangs out and waits for us and takes us wherever we want to go. So that works out really well. But yeah, sitting in the front seat, I would definitely say that's something that you want to do anytime you get in a cab or Uber or anything like that. Sit in the front seat, talk with the guys. Usually they have a lot of information that they can give you. Okay, so let's see. The last thing that I would do, so you don't have to pay the tourist prices, is do some research. And let's pop up this window here. So do some research on Facebook. And Facebook they have a lot of groups, and you can join these groups, and you can find really good deals. And this is for Medellin. Now they have them for pretty much anywhere you want to travel to. And what they do is they just post different deals on like it's like Airbnb, but really not because you're dealing directly with the owner, and you can get some really good deals. And these are more long term. So if you're planning on staying there for a month, this is perfect. Now they will do short term rentals as well, but you just need to let them know, and they'll have a price for that as well. But they really work out well. Now you're seeing like here's what this is in pesos, so that's I think that's like $1,000, a little more than $1,000 for this place. But that's for the month, and so if you're out there and you're going to be out there for the month, this is like, I mean, who wouldn't want to stay here? It's a pretty nice place, and you have some pretty good views. This is the only two. Oh, here you go, bedroom. So pretty modern, and that's one thing you will notice when you go to Medellin. It's very modern. It's not like you would think. Oh, it's like what people want to claim as third world and stuff like that. No, it's very modern. In most situations, you're going to have all the amenities that you have in the U.S. So it's pretty good. So I would get on groups. That's one thing if you do want to travel, even if you're not going to stay there for a month. Let's say you're going to stay there for 10 days, you're going to stay there for 2 weeks. Get on some of these groups and start looking around, and you can work out some deals with these people. You can do it for a lot less than what you would pay for pay for a hotel. I mean, if you think about it, you stay in a hotel and you're staying in that hotel for, I don't know, 7 days, and you end up coming out of there paying $1,000. Well, I just showed you a room for a month. I mean, a hotel, or not a hotel, I'm sorry, an apartment. You can pay $1,000 for the month, so you can work out a deal with you, so you're paying a lot less, right? So if they do have it available and it's just sitting there, then they're more than likely going to give you that room for a lot, or I keep saying hotel, that apartment for a lot less. So look at that. Get on Facebook, look at some of the groups, and you'll find some stuff. I look at this group all the time because I'm planning on going back to Colombia, especially Medellin, several times. Well, at least twice next year. So I want to know what's available, how much can I get a deal on it, that stuff. So that's pretty much where I am when it comes to that. So those are some of the ways. Now that I do is I'll always haggle. Okay, some people aren't really comfortable with haggling. To me, it's very easy to do. It's not, because I always have an automatic response. So, and I'm just going to give you an example of how I kind of work. So let's say they say $10. Okay, it's $10. I always drop it down more than half. Usually it's half. Usually I'll go half. Sometimes I'll go down even more than half. But if they say $10, I'm automatically going to say, no, that's too much. How about $5? And then once I get down to $5, and usually $5 is probably about the right price. Usually they're bumping it up twice as much. So if you say $5, that's usually probably around the price that a non-tourist would pay. Usually, I'm not saying it's not always, but that's kind of the gauge that I do. So they say $10, I'm going to say $5. And then usually they're going to up it. They're going to say, no, $7 or $8. And usually I'll stick. If I don't really care, then I'll stick with $5. I'll say, no, $5's all I'll pay. And then you just start walking away. And if they want $5, then they're gonna come after you. If they don't want it, then you know. And so then once I walk away, there's going to be someone else that's going to be offering the same thing, right? So now I know $5 is probably not going to fly. So the next time they're going to say, the next person, let's say they say $10, then I'm going to say, no, not $10. I'll pay $5. And then they're going to say no, and then they're going to bump it up to no, $7, or they're going to say $8. And at that point, I'll say, I'll do $6. And then if they don't do $6, I'll walk away. I got time, right? I'm on vacation. I'm enjoying myself. So I can work it. You can work it up that way. Or you can just pay $10, which I would never recommend. So always just cut it in half and see where it goes. And you can kind of gauge how, like, some people you'll know. Like if they say $10 and you say $5, and they just like, oh no, and then you walk away and they don't even respond, and they don't even try to say, okay, well, let's say they say $7, you say $5, they say $10, you say $5, they up it to $7, and you say no, 5 is all I'll do. Then you're walking away. If they say 6, then you know you're close. If they don't say anything, then you're going to need to raise your price up a little bit. So just mess around. I mean, it's not that hard to haggle, and don't take it personal. And some people are uncomfortable because it gets more of like a personal thing, and you don't want to offend them and all that. Well, they're hiking those prices up. They're not giving you the best deal when they say $10 or when they say that initial price. That's not the best deal. So just think of it along those lines. There are so many people out there. If you're trying to catch a cab, and like I said, I did a good video. I put out a good video about taxis when I was in Thailand, and you'll have a link there so you can check that out, because that was a really good one where I happen to have my camera running and I had it on a little gimbal, so it's just like sitting there, so I don't have to like make sure it's pointed at someone. I can just hold it and it's gonna keep the shot steady. And so I had the gimbal, and I happened to be just walking down, shooting video of the beach, and these two taxi drivers approaching me. and they started talking to me, telling me, "Hey, no, we can take you here, we can take you there." And they were working on, they wanted to do excursions and stuff. And so I had the video, I already had the camera running, so I just started talking and start haggling with them. So you get to see kind of how I worked out a deal to where we could go to two different places. For it was very reasonable actually. So just you're going to have to haggle. You are going to have to do that if you want to get the best deals. And do your research. Get on Facebook groups. Ride Uber if you can. Subways are great if you're open to that. Subways will really that's where you're going to save the most money if you can use a subway. So those are my tips when it comes to that. Now, I'd love to know what you guys think too. So if you guys have some different tips, different things that you guys do, put it in the chat right now. We can talk about it. I'm going to go back over to the chat and we'll look at some more of these questions here. And let's see, where do we leave off? Yeah, okay, so Nakia Baby says that she didn't know that Hyatt and MGM are connected. They are connected, and I know that personally because I've been to Vegas a few times since I had my Hyatt. As long as you have status with Hyatt, you get that same, or I won't say you get the same status because I had top status at Hyatt, and they wouldn't give me top status at the MGM Mirage. They gave me like the second tier. So like it wasn't the top tier, but it was the second tier. But it's still good, right? I'm not I don't gamble very often, so I didn't earn it through gambling. But the good thing about it is you get your little VIP line and at restaurants and stuff like that. So you can really benefit from it. So yeah, they do work together. As far as points, the frustrating thing about Hyatt when it comes to points, not all their hotels will accept points. So you might want to stay at a certain hotel while they're not accepting points at that time, or they're not accepting free nights. So that becomes a little frustrating because you have points, you have free nights, and you can't use them at certain properties. Now they usually will have a property within that area, especially if it's a large city, where you can use points, but it's not all the properties. So same thing with MGM. MGM properties, you can use points at certain ones, but not all of them will allow you to use points. But the status, you do get that status, so that's good. All right. Let's see. Nakia, what do you like about the two cards? Okay, so getting two cards. So Nakia Baby's talking about getting two cards on the same day, two credit cards on the same day, or at the same time, like hitting submit right after each other. You can try it. I mean, I am very simple when it comes to travel reward cards. I don't get a lot. Okay, so I'll get what I need. I won't get like you'll have people that they'll get 5 cards in a couple of months and hit that minimum spend on all 5 cards, and that's great. I'm not that type of person. I'll get a card that I need, hit that minimum spend, get another card that I need, hit that minimum spend, get another card. So it can take me 6 months to get 5 or 6 cards. And then once I have those cards, I'm looking for cards that I can use long term. So I'm looking for cards that I can earn a lot of points on just by using the card for purchases. So those are the cards that I look for. I'm not into churning cards where I get a card, get the bonus, and then either keep the card or get rid of the card and then get another card and get the bonus. I'm not into that. So I've never done that before, Nakia Baby, and I've never like done 2 at the same time. It's just not me. So, I mean, you can try it. You said that I think you said that you're at your, let's see. So you have 1 slot. So for 5, okay. So the 524. So you have 1 slot left. So you could try to do 2 at one time, I guess. Or if you have a business, this is a big one. If you have a business, you can, I mean, in businesses, they're very flexible with what you consider a business. You can always use your social security number. And if you have an eBay business, or like if you sell on eBay or you sell on Amazon, or you have a YouTube channel and that's your business, then you can qualify for points or for points for credit cards, business credit cards. Now, if you get a business credit card, it's not the same as getting a personal credit card, and you're able to get a business credit card and it not show up as a 524. So that's something that you can think about too. And uh, I always encourage anyway, look into having, a side business. I mean, I have a regular job, but I also have a side business. I have a photography business. So you can have, side jobs going on. And if you're really into getting different credit cards, get some business cards. I have the Chase Ink Business Unlimited and the Chase Ink Business Plus. I have those two cards, and they don't count when it comes to the 524 because they're separate. Okay. All right. So Nakia baby, she's a girl. All right. She's a girl. That sounds funny. Okay. Did you go to that volcano in Colombia? I don't know what volcano you're referring to. I didn't know of any volcanoes in the area where we were in Medellin. And when I was in Cartagena, I don't know where there's a volcano. And I went to a volcano in Costa Rica, but I don't know of a volcano in Colombia. Um, so I'd be interested to know what volcano you're referring to. And I probably will be going in the future because I'll be going back to Colombia definitely at least twice, 2019. So the main thing I wanted to talk about today is I wanted to talk about the actually I just got sidetracked. Hold on. Oh, okay. With the mud. No, I didn't go there. I think is that in Cartagena? I think that's in Cartagena. I didn't go there. It didn't look for me, and you gotta understand, it's me and my buddy, right? Me and another guy going to mud bath thing. No, no. So we didn't go there. That was the last thing that we wanted to do. I think that was in Cartagena. I'm not even sure. So yeah, the main thing I wanted to talk about is the tour, not paying the tourist fees, and I mean, they will hike those prices up on you, definitely. And if you do stay in a tourist area, you're really not going to be able to avoid some things because if you go to the restaurants out there, you can't avoid it. The restaurants are going to hike those prices up because you're in that area. Another good thing about having a guide or getting like an Uber guide to take you around the city is that you could tell them, hey, take me to places where you go to eat or where you to go to the grocery store. So then he'll start taking you, or she'll start taking you to different places that are not tourist areas, right? So where it's cheaper, where the food is better, because there are a lot of places that are really hidden gems that you wouldn't know about, and you're not going to find it on TripAdvisor. But if you're talking to someone that lives there, they're going to take you to those good spots. Like the last time we were in Medellin, we got hooked up with this guy. He was taking us everywhere, and he was taking us to his spots. Like we were going to some spots that were, far away, good food, very reasonable places that you can't find on TripAdvisor because they're not on there because these are spots that he goes to on a regular basis. So that's another way to really save money. I mean, you can hit these guys up, and they're really in most situations they're going to take you to some good spots. Now, what I do, and this is me, and it's up to you. If I have someone taking me around, then let's say in a situation in Medellin, he was taking us all around, and this guy was working hard. We were paying him $100 a day, and he took us we were there 6 days, or I'm sorry, 6 nights, something like that. We had 5 days there, and then the 6th day we were on our way back. So for those 5 days, he took us around, and like for 4 days, he was driving us around for like 10 hours. We were out and about going to all these different places. So I usually cover. So like if we go to eat, I cover the bill, or my buddy covers the bill. So we're paying for him to go to these different places to eat. And I mean, he's taking care of us in the sense that he's taking us to good places to eat good food. and the food is very reasonable, and it's places that he would go on his own, if that makes sense. So you really get away from all the tourist traps and stuff like that because you're out. And then he helps us out too with just different where to get deals on different things because you'll have things that you need to buy. You want to buy souvenirs or stuff like that. He haggles prices. I mean, he was doing all that stuff for us. He's getting people, to leave us alone about certain things. I mean, you're walking, like if you go to El Centro in Medellin, the central area downtown, you have two things. You have a lot of people trying to sell you stuff, and then you have people that are trying to take stuff from you. So it's just like any major city where you go there and there's just a lot of people around, and you just have to watch your back because you will have people that will try to pickpocket you and stuff like that. And he's watching out. Like he was watching out for us and say, hey, no, we don't want to go there. We want to go here. Now, I'm not saying that to say it's unsafe. It's unsafe or dangerous or anything like that. But like I said, any major city, you're going to have people that are going to be trying to pickpocket you and stuff like that. If you get on a subway and just different things like that. So he was really good in the sense that he was like, yeah, you know what, let's go this way or let's go that way. And just make sure you watch, be mindful of your stuff. Because I have camera equipment and all that stuff. So I have expensive stuff on me. So he was really good about that. So that's all I have. Do you guys have any other questions or any other things that you want to bring up? Just bring them up in the chat right now. We'll look at the chat and then and we'll answer the few questions. And then if there's nothing else, then I am going to sign off. But yeah, I appreciate all you guys coming out. In the future, I'm going to start doing, like I said, I'm going to do one every week. It's going to be I'm planning on doing it every Sunday, but if I can't make it on a Sunday, then I'll do it on Monday for sure. But I just want to just let you guys know that I'll be doing it. And then we'll talk a little bit about credit cards. I don't like to get too much into credit cards because there's so many different variables when it comes to credit cards, travel credit cards. So I don't like to get too in depth. There are a lot of cards that I don't have, and I don't want to recommend something that I don't have. There's some cards that I'll go over anyway, just to see. Like I said, and I think I said this in the beginning of this stream. There are some people might have a card that I don't have, and we can discuss the pros and the cons of that card. And they can say, well, in my experience, I have the card, and this is what I've been able to do with the card. Because I don't personally have it. I don't want to say, well, yeah, this is good or that's good or this is bad and that's bad. I can look at a card and say, well, I wouldn't get the card because of this, this, and this. But a person that has a card might have a different experience. So I guess we could chat about it and just talk about the different cards. Let's see. Let's go over a few more questions. Let's see. Here's what's bad with the tourist prices. But Thanksgiving weekend got ripped off. A lot of Texas don't. Yeah. So Nakia Baby is just talking about Egypt again. So how was Egypt actually? Was it overall like? I don't know if I want to go to Egypt. I would love. I mean, they have some really good places to take pictures, I would imagine. But I just haven't really been eager to go to Egypt. I'm going to have to do some more research on that. Yeah, okay, so Aldridge says, good tip on people taking you around. Yeah, you have to be comfortable with it, but for the most part and for what it matters, I mean, Uber, if you are in a city where Uber is legal, technically they do a background on these people. So you can take that with a grain of salt, but they do a background on these people. And like I'm saying, I'm not saying just catch an Uber everywhere you go. I'm saying catch an Uber. If you have a good rapport with that person, chat them up. Say, hey, how about taking me here, taking me there, off the clock, like not on Uber, but taking me on, most of them, that's what they do. Like when we were in Medellin, That's what that guy did. All he did was just drive people around. And he did Uber. He didn't do taxis. Like he had his own car and he wanted to do it that way, work on his own, work his own hours. But that's what he did. And the majority of them will have a business card or have a contact and they'll give it to you right away. Hey, yeah, come, and usually that's their intention too, because you have to understand, like, especially when we were in Medellin, and actually Medellin, Costa Rica, Paris was the same way. The Uber driver that I got when I was in Paris and to the hotel, he was chatting me up, trying to get more business out of me. And the way you think about it, what you have to think about it is that's good money for them, and that's steady money for them. So they don't have to really work hard for it, in the sense that they've already got, like, when we were in Medellin for 5 days, this guy was getting $100 a day, and that was set. And he already knew it was there. He didn't have to work for it. He didn't have to go out and try to find fares. He had us for 5 days, and he became a friend. Like, he's on my Facebook now, Instagram. We chat up. I chat with him all the time and tell him, hey, yeah, I'm coming back out to. So when I go back out to Medellin, I'm going to hook up with him again, and he's going to take me around and all this. So it works out really well, and that's all I'm going to say about it. If you don't, I wouldn't be too nervous about it. And you do hear about people scamming you and all that kind of stuff, but just we have that sixth sense. So when we talk with people, for the most part, you can kind of see if someone's on the up and up or if someone's just shady. And if they're shady, then yeah, I wouldn't go with them. But I would always get that business card. Always get a business card from them when you get a ride somewhere, and then you can go from there. If you feel comfortable, then go. And if you're not really that comfortable, go somewhere not far the first time. Like, can you take me to the mall during the day? They take you to the mall. You chat them up again, see how they are. Okay, that's good. Then have them take you somewhere else the next day until you get used to them. If you don't feel it, then you don't feel it. But it's definitely will save you a ton of money. And so that's all I have to say about that. All right. Let's see. So Clifton's saying Egypt's definitely on this list. Yeah, I want to know more about it. Like, I don't know. I got to do more research. I just don't. I like going places where Americans are welcome. And I don't know if Egypt might be one. Like I said, I have to do more research. But I don't want to go to a place where Americans are seen as like the enemy, or they're seen as, they want to kidnap you because they can hold you for ransom or what. I don't know. And I'm going way off. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how Egypt is, but there are certain places in the world that they don't like Americans, or they see Americans as, a bargaining chip, that kind of stuff. So I just want to be comfortable where I go. And Colombia could have been one of them that people would think, oh yeah, this is a bargain. Americans are bargaining chips or what have you. But it's not. I've never seen anything to. I've never seen that in Colombia. The times that I've gone, and even the research that I've done. So that's just the way I feel about it. So anyway, I need to do more research about Egypt. Okay, next topic: cashback versus travel cards. When working on limited budgets. Okay. Oh man, we get on a long topic. I personally don't do cashback cards. Excuse me. I don't do cashback cards because I use the cards that I have for travel, and pretty much travel only. I actually travel only. I never cash, because these cards, even the travel cards, you can get cash back on them. You can get the gift cards and that stuff, and use that to redeem for items and things like that. But that's the lowest value that you'll get, and that's why I don't do the cash back, because I don't want to get. Let me give you an example. So I was in Paris, and I had two separate airline tickets. So I flew up there economy, And I decided flying back, you know what? I want to go first class. I've never flown first class before. This is the experience of a lifetime. I want to do that. And so this was when I was first really getting into the points. This is like 2 years ago. So I had the points. I had a couple credit cards and I had my points all set up and everything, but I didn't really know how to use them. And so I had, how many points did I use? At that time, I believe it was 75,000 or 80,000 points is what I used. And that was to fly one way back, on the way back, one way first class. And it was a 10-hour leg. And then uh, I flew into, I think I flew into Las Vegas. And then from Las Vegas, it was like a business class to California. So so let's say it was 80,000 points. I think it was actually 75,000. Back at that time, it was a little less, but let's just say it was 80,000 because I know it's 80,000 now. So to fly one way, 80,000 points is what I needed to fly first class. Now, I want to explain something to you. It depends on what airline you're flying on, the experience that you'll have. I flew on British Airways. First class, I've flown business class and I've flown first class. First class is, in my experience, a lot different than flying in business class. Business class is great. First class is exceptional. So 80,000 points, that's equivalent. If I wanted to cash that out, cash back, if I wanted to do kind of the cash back option, that's equivalent to $800. So that 80,000 points got me a ticket that would cost, if I were going to pay for that ticket, that flight back, it would have cost me $6,500 for that first class flight. So that's where, like, I would never cash back. I never use that for cash back because I get $800, which is good. But if I could fly first class, $6,500 seat, where they're treating you like I flew. There were 12 seats. We're on a 747, so we're underneath. The pilot's up here, and we're underneath the pilot. We're in the nose of the plane, basically. I'm sitting 3 seats back, so the little window that I had, actually, I think I had two or three windows. They're up right at the front of the plane, and then you have blinds. Like, you hit a button, and you have like I said, you have 3 or 4 or 2 or 3 windows, and then the blinds come up, and then you can see out. And then you can close the blinds back down. It's like electric. It was. I'm telling you, and I've never, I have video of it. I've just never done a video. I'm gonna get them all together and do a video just of that experience. And then of course you have the seat where you can lay all the way back and go to sleep. So if you're flying 10 hours, you can lay down, go to sleep. The food, and this is the first class on British Airways. The food was excellent. Like, I'm telling you, it was better than. It was like a high-end restaurant. That's the way the food was. It was really good. And I'm like amazed. I'm on an airplane and they're serving like gourmet food on the plane. And the dessert was good. They make your bed for you. So when you're ready to go to sleep, they basically, there were 6 of us there. There were 12 seats. So there were 6 of us in the first class. And there were 4, 5, 6 flight attendants in that area. So you had 4 actual flight attendants. So basically you had each of us. So there was 1 flight attendant for 2 people, pretty much, if you think about it that way. There was like 4 flight attendants up there. Then you had like the supervisor, and then you had like the like manager of all the flight attendants. And so they were all there, and it was impressive. They give you pajamas, and like I said, they'll come out and they'll ask you, okay, what would you like now, Mr. Clark? What do you want to do there? What do you want to do now? When do you want to eat? When do you want to go to bed? And then you just tell them, okay, yeah, I want to go to bed in a couple of hours. They'll come back in a couple of hours. They'll make your bed for you. They'll give you your pajamas. You put your pajamas on. They make your bed for you. Pull it all down and get the sheets and the little. They have a little pad that they put on the seat. They just set everything up for you. They give you a little amenities kit that has all the different toothbrush and toothpaste and lotion and just eye mask, all the different stuff they give you. It's insane. And They're very attentive. Like you go, and I'm not, and like I'm saying, this is first class British Airways. I can't speak for all the other carriers. I know the U.S. carriers, first class. Most of the U.S. carriers, they don't even offer first class. Usually it's business class. So I don't know. Like I said, I can't speak for all the different airlines. But even there was a situation where I went in, put my pajamas on. On my way out, one of the flight attendants was standing there, wanting to take my clothes so he could hang my clothes up. And I'm like, nah, it's okay. Like I had my own little wardrobe where my seat was, where I can put my clothes. It's like, no, I'm okay. You don't have to hang my pants up. It's just it's over the top. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So as far as 80,000 points, I would never cash back that. I would never use for cash back because I get 800 bucks. That's not going to give me the experience that I would want. That's not going to give me the experience that I could get if I used it for travel. Transfer the points over to, in this case, what I did is I transferred the points over to American Airlines. American Airlines is a partner with British Airways. Book my flight from Paris to the U.S. and it does everything else. So it will, because they're a partner, they use British Airways, and that's how I got the flight. And then, not to mention, you're flying first class, so you go into the first class lounge. Now, I've gone to a variety of different lounges. Priority pass, I have my priority pass, so I use that to go to these different lounges. Nothing compared to going to a first class lounge. I was in London when I went to that lounge, the first class lounge. That was incredible. I mean, basically, you walk in, there are four different rooms, and we're talking real large rooms, and you're totally separated from everywhere else, like all the other terminals. You go in there, they have one area that's all wine, and they have all the wine hanging up or, in the different little compartments so you can get wine. So you had that little wine lounge. Then you go and then you have like a computer area where you can use computers, use a phone, another little lounge, and they had like a bar there, full on bar, free alcohol. You can go up and get whatever you want. Then they had another area where it was just coffee. You can get your coffee and cookies and all that stuff. They had another little area where there's sports, where you can watch games and stuff like that. And then they had like a buffet area where you can go get food that you wanted. They had some pretty good food there. And then if that's not what you wanted, is what they had in the buffet, then you could go and they had a restaurant right there. You can go in there and order whatever you want to order. So it was crazy. And it's funny because I was doing some video of it, and I'm walking through it. I didn't notice this when I was walking through, but actually I think I was using my phone to do video at this time. So I was using my phone to do video, and I didn't notice, but there was a guy that was sitting there, and I don't know who he was. He could have been a celebrity or something. I'm in London, so I didn't recognize him. He wasn't familiar to me. But he completely did the like, no video please. Like he thought I was shooting video of him. So he thought I was like a paparazzi, I guess. I don't know. So that was kind of funny, but I didn't see it until after I got home and I was looking at the video, and I'm seeing this guy and he's like waving his hand in front like, who is this guy? I've never seen him before in my life. I'm not trying to do video of him, but I wanted to get video of the area. All right, so let's do a few more questions, and then we're going to have to go. It's getting late over here. Let's see. Don't want to walk. Okay, so Clifton says, when I arrive in Medellin, I have a few hours to burn before I'm able to check in. I want to walk around with my luggage. Where are you going to check in, Clifton? Because if you're checking in at a hotel, you can leave it at the bell with the bell. The bellhop will take your luggage for you. Now, if you're doing Airbnb, yeah, I don't really know what you're going to do. If you're staying, what I would do is let's say if I stayed at Airbnb and I wasn't staying at a hotel and I didn't have anyone to give my luggage to, then I do one of two things. If you do have lounge access, when you get to the airport, see in this, usually you're okay. They'll do this, although you have to show them your ticket. A lot of times they will, because you're supposed to show them a ticket that's showing that you're flying out within the next few hours or what have you. But if you show them a ticket, let's say you have priority pass, you show them a ticket. Usually they'll take it and they'll let you stay in the lounge. So I would go to the airport, just stay in the lounge for a couple of hours, and then catch a cab or catch an Uber to wherever your destination is. I would at least try it. If they turn you away, they turn you away. But usually they don't care because they're getting the $27 or whatever it is. They're getting that money from Priority Pass, so they usually don't care. Like they're gonna get their money anyway. So Priority Pass would probably care, but yeah, I would try that. If I didn't have anywhere to take my luggage, I would try that. I don't want to be standing out on the street with my luggage. No, I agree with you. Uh, but if that didn't work, I would just go to the nearest restaurant and sit down. If you're in Medellin, I mean, the food's pretty reasonable. So I'd sit down, eat a meal, relax, maybe watch a little soccer or whatever's on TV, and wait for the room. Let's see. Let's see, Nakia baby. Arab countries are very aggressive. What do you mean by aggressive, Nakia baby? I've only flown first class on domestic carriers. I can't wait to fly international carriers. Yeah, so um, I've flown business class on American or U.S. carriers. First class, and they'll say, let me take that back. So I've flown domestically on business class, and they call it first class, but it's not really first class. Like, for example, I flew from San Jose to Los Angeles. They call it first class. It was on Alaska Airlines. It's not first class. It's just a larger seat, a little more comfort. You can't lay down and go to sleep, and they don't give you all the amenities and all that. You don't even get a meal. So I don't consider that first class, but they call it first class, or they'll call it business class. And really, it's not a true business class experience. So I personally, like, if you're flying international carriers, you're going to fly. Even if you're flying, I flew United. I went to Thailand a couple months ago, so I flew United, their Polaris business class. It was nice. I mean, it was okay. As far as the food wasn't that good. The the seats and the way it was set up and everything was nice. And there was a lie flat seat, so I could lay down and go to sleep and all that. The customer service on the plane, the flight attendants weren't very good. So uh, that's just been my experience. And so flying domestic air carriers like United, American, Delta, I would say the foreign carriers they cater to you much more. And I think that's the expectation. The expectation in other countries, other travel, foreign travelers, their expectation is a lot higher than our expectation in the U.S. We look at it more of as just to get from point A to point B. You take a plane to get from point A to point B, whereas they get the full experience. So you'll see a lot of these international carriers. They really cater to getting you, making you feel important and give you good food and give you all the amenities, slippers, pajamas, all that good stuff. All right. Let's see. Check in Airbnb. Okay, so Clifton, you're going to Airbnb. Yeah, or I would talk to the host, Clifton. If you talk to the host and tell them, hey, you know what, I'm coming in a couple of hours earlier. Is there any way that I can check in a couple of hours early, or is there anything I could do with my luggage, or you can even ask the host if there are like restaurants nearby or something nearby that you can do for the next 2 hours. That's what I would do. Um, but the first thing that I would try, if you do have lounge access, go to one of those lounges and just hang out there at the airport, or just hang out in the airport. You can do that too. I mean, you don't have to go to a lounge. You can go to. I'm trying to think of. I don't know if they had any big restaurants. I can't really think if they had any real big restaurants in the airport in Medellin. But you can do that too. Hang out in the airport. Oh yeah, actually, no, they do. Okay, so at the top level in Medellin, If you go to the top level, I think there's like 3 levels. So if you go to the third level, they have some restaurants up there, and you can go up and eat and just hang out. I would do that. And what I had to do is my buddy's plane was wow, his plane was maybe 3 4 hours late, and so I got there and I had to wait, and so that's what I did. I went up to the top there. They have a mall down there too, or at the airport, so you can kind of go through the mall if you want to do that, or you can just go get something to eat. So I just went up there, got something to eat. They had Wi-Fi, so I was able to get on my Wi-Fi and just mess around on my computer for a few hours, and then when he got there, then we caught a cab out. So that's another option too. Let's see, Nikia baby, aggressive with haggling more so than other areas in the house. Okay, so you're saying aggressive with haggling. So they want to haggle with you, or you try to haggle with them and then they haggle back and you're not. You can't. It's harder to get a good deal. Is that what you're saying? Let's see. All right. So we'll answer this last question with Nikia baby, and then I'm gonna have to take off. But yeah, it's when it comes to haggling with people, for me, like I have that automatic response. If you tell me one price, I'm gonna tell you half, or I'm gonna go even lower than half. If I really don't want it, if it's one of those things that I really don't want, but I'll buy it if it's if it's cheap enough, like sunglasses. Which you know what? I'm never buying sunglasses again. Just when I travel, I used to not bring sunglasses and just buy sunglasses when I get to wherever I'm going. But those sunglasses are horrible. And, I mean, as far as you put them, you're wearing them, and you're seeing all these different colors, and they're probably damaging my eyes. So I bought some sunglasses in Thailand, and I wore those things one day, and I was done with them because I'm looking and I'm seeing all these different like purples, and it's just the glasses were just terrible. And so I'm not buying them anymore. I'll bring sunglasses, and now I've started to. They have these glasses. They're called knock around. Let's see if I can pull this up and show you guys. Um, but they're good. They're nice glasses, and let's see. And they're very inexpensive. See, my thing is this: when I go to places and I try to, how sunglasses. Let's put it that way. So I don't like to I don't like to buy expensive glasses and take them somewhere, but I want to have good quality glasses. And so I started looking at different options, right? And I picked up these glasses, these knockaround glasses. I got them on Amazon, but you can go to their website if you want. And they're nice. I mean, they're nice glasses. They're they're pretty durable, and they don't cost that much. It's like $30. I think the most expensive is like 40 or $45, and they're good. And so, and see, it says starting at $20. So you're able to buy some glasses that look pretty good, and if they get damaged, they get damaged. And I'm out of a lot of money. That was my thing, and I wanted to find a company, and this is just the way I am. I want to find a company that I'm familiar with, that I know they make good products. Because you can get on Amazon and buy sunglasses from all these different places, but you really don't know what you're getting. So in a situation like this, I know what I'm getting. I can buy some sunglasses before I go on the trip, and I'm all set. If I lose them, okay, I'm out of $25. Uh, so that's just the way that I'm thinking. But just to go back to it, when I'm haggling, if I don't really want it, then yeah, I'll even go lower. They say $10. I'll say, oh, I'll pay $2. Oh, no, 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 that's crazy. I'll go $5. Okay, you know what? I probably would have paid $5 anyways. I'll go ahead and pay $5. So that's the kind of the way that I look at that. All right, let's see. I was really aggressive. Also, the DR. That's another place I heard was really aggressive. Yeah, let's see. Sorry for the typo. I meant I heard that about Egypt. Oh, okay. Have a pair. Oh, okay. So Nikia baby says you said you have a pair of the knockarounds. Yeah, I like them. I don't know what you think about them, but I think they're worth it. And my whole thing is when you go to these different countries. When I was in Thailand, I got those sunglasses. That was the last pair that I'll ever buy. And it's funny too because, and I did a video about this for my buddy. Um, he he got hustled, and it was pretty funny. But yeah, they totally hustled him with the whole sunglasses, and he ended up buying another pair and giving back a pair. It was a mess. I did a video on it, and you can I'll post a link of that in the description as well. But it's just funny. But yeah, I won't buy sunglasses anymore when I travel. Not unless I go and buy like a legit pair. If I really need sunglasses, I'm not one to wear sunglasses all the time, but I do like to have them in certain situations. With me, it's kind of like I'll wear them, but if I'm out shooting, taking pictures, it's just a hassle because every time I take a picture, I have to take the sunglasses up and take a picture. I don't like, nor should you use the sunglasses, to take pictures just because you're looking through sunglasses into the viewfinder, which makes it look darker than what it really is. So you don't get that true. You don't see exactly what the picture looks like. And then when you view the picture afterward, you're looking at it through sunglasses. So it's the same thing. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys all putting out these questions and coming by every Sunday. Let's say Sunday. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. I will be putting out a video, and we'll start talking about different things. But I'd love to know, like, when you guys go on trips and stuff like that, talk about your trip. So let me know where you're going, where you've gone, how your experience was, and all that stuff, and we can talk about that. Because, like I said, talking about Egypt, I've never really thought about going to Egypt, but is it worth going to Egypt? Did you like it? What food did you eat? Where did you stay? All that stuff. So I think as a community, we can really start talking about things and help each other out. I'm sure there are a lot of people that never even considered going to Colombia, but I'm telling you, Colombia is a really great place to go, and at least to try to see if you would like it. So that's all I have. If you guys have any further comments or anything like that, just post it below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I know it was a long video, but the more thumbs up I get, the higher up it will go in the YouTube algorithm. So that's good. If you haven't done so, please subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.